Welcome back to What Arty Noobs. This is the Object 252U Defender. It's a Tier 8 Soviet premium heavy tank located on the northwest spawn of Fjords. This one is under the command of Toxis. Now, we've got a couple of videos featuring his replays, or a couple of replays in his video. Let's see how he gets on. Well, as you may remember from one of my previous videos, the one about the IS-6, this is an intermediate design on the way to the IS-6. You can see the flattened turret, not quite like the IS-3 turret, which is more like a frying pan. This one's like a flattened frying pan. It's got a rather good gun, 122mm, capable of 440 alpha, and with the standard AP rounds it'll go through 225mm. With the premium rounds it goes through 265. It's got well angled armour, and oh, we spotted an enemy already. A P-44 Pantera is hiding behind that rock, but I bet you there is a tank destroyer up in those bushes up high, and our friend there in the T20 who just knocked those trees down is probably attracting their attention. Oh, lovely shot right into the rear, and it's a high roll for 474. Now the reload time is normally quite long, 14.38 seconds by the book, but well, he's got it down to 11.65, which is quite good. And you can see that those cupolas are really difficult to hit. They're not quite hidden, but they are much more difficult to hit than the standard cupolas you find on an IS-3. Also, he's got that big front plate because this is a pike nose heavy, and whilst that deflects shells which are coming directly at the upper plates, it doesn't really do much to stop shells that actually are aimed at the lower plate from penning it. Well, that lurver has just sort of like dived in, he got set alight, and now he's going to die. Yeah, that was a bit of a waste. But there's not a lot he can do once he has been set alight. I think the answer was not to jump in like that and try and get below the gun pressure. And oh, another enemy tank has been set alight. It's the A44, I think, and yeah, he's got a load of assist there from setting him alight. Or he actually damaged the track. Okay, the lurver is taking shots. He's handling this very well. Low plate, yep. And he bounced around, or didn't bounce it, but he blocked the shot that came back from the lurver. He's pushed them back through the pass, and now he's going to really go for it on them. As long as he stays well angled to avoid the pens. Unfortunately, he couldn't stop the lurver's 105mm round going through his lower plate there. It's just getting ready to go for... Oh, he's trying to go for the cupola, actually, funnily enough. Not easy on the lurver, because like the Defender, it has very, very well hidden cupolas. Much easier to hit the lower plates on the lurver, just like on the Defender for that matter. But that's all the lurver's giving him, is that top of the turret. And you can see it's just basically a thin ring, so he's decided to go a bit lower. And yes, he fired in a round that finished him off. Well, it looks like the enemy's been pushed back altogether, and Toxis has managed to earn at least 20% of the enemy hit pool already, so he's got a potential high caliber, and he did take a round from the KV-2, but he did enough to track the guy, and the ISU, well, this wasn't the ISU actually, it was the Super Hellcat, finished him off. He's actually decided to return back to the West Pass because an SU-101 was seen there, and we've got an M6 blocking his approach to our cap, but I suspect the enemies tried to come up behind them, or is he pulled back in? Well, the ISU-152 like that. Where's the enemy? No. In fact, the Nashorn is just trying to rush back to the cap as quickly as possible, and we now know why, because there's a P-44 Pantera at our cap, and the M6 has decided to turn around. Thankfully, they managed to deal with the Pantera, but not before our Hummel decided to kill himself, drown himself, throw himself into the water, which is a complete and utter waste, because obviously they are going to win this. Even though the score is tied at the moment, they are on more hit points than the enemy, and of course they've got RNG as Toxis on their team, which means they've got a reasonable chance of winning. Well, the SU-101 went round to the South Pass to try and stop the flood of tanks coming through. Obviously didn't realise that his action actually prompted everyone to come through the Western Pass instead, and I think he's about to die. RNG Toxis is going to go for the enemy SU-152, but he's just spotted the steer and an OI. Well, it'll easily puncture the OI, no problem at all. He's waggling to block the shots, but the OI fires HE at him, so obviously you can't block an HE. But here we go. Yep. Wasn't enough to kill him, but it's a high roll. 492. Yeah, Wargaming's doing their best to block any HE from ever having any effects at all in the future. And there goes the OI. Is he going to go down the dip? Actually, he's trying to maintain his position up the height so he can get a shot on the Waffenträger, but no, he's decided to go down low anyway. Okay, he's behind the house and he dies before we can get there, which means now there's only two enemies left, an S-51 and an SU-8. Question is, where are they? Oh, there's one. And, well, unfortunately that one didn't pen, and he's actually having to use APCR now because that's all he's got left. And that SU-8 did get a free shot into him for 205, and he might be able to get another shot off, but because his reload time is only about 18 seconds, but nope, the ISU-152 gets him in the end. So, first game's over, and it's a victory. Let's have a look at the second one. The second replay is on the south spawn of Malinovka, and this time round RNG's Toxis has switched to a Kranvagn, the tier 10 Swedish heavy. Well, unfortunately on this replay, Wargaming has chosen to take away the sound, or rather it's not a choice actually. I think it's purely that their client doesn't work sometimes and it does work others. Obviously we had sound on the previous replay, but not on this one. Well, that unusual noise was the magazine loading. It's a 3-shot autoloader, and he's got a 120mm gun, which is capable of doing 440 alpha like the Defender, and also penetrating 252mm of armor with standard APCR, and that goes up to 300mm with the heat rounds. Now, RNG is headed up the hill. Malinovka game, heavies tend to go hill, the mediums tend to hold the heights above the lake, and the tank destroyers, well, most of them tend to stay near the cap areas. I think a few tank destroyer players do like actually going up the hill themselves. But, yep, there's one. But then he's in a bobject, so of course you'd expect him to go up the hill. He's one of the most overpowered vehicles in the game. Well, what's so special about the Kranvagn? Based as it is on the AMX-50 tank, although that never got built or put into production, it's a design that started in 1949 to build a heavy tank for Sweden, and the design is actually quite interesting because the turret armour, well, is very, very good indeed at the front. Pretty poor at the sides, and you can hit those cupolas if you can get around on target, but it's got 12 degrees of gun depression, this thing, thanks to the oscillating turret, and that makes it very deadly. He didn't get through the armour on the Wizzy, but his second round did, and that was a bad turn. He turned sideways to pull back there and took a round through the side. So 2 rounds out of the 3, and now he's got to reload. Stand reload is 21 seconds, but he's got it down to 19.26. Now you can see that this thing is actually quite deadly. the fact that it's got 3 shots, similar to the ANIML, both 1 and 2, quick reloads and lots of damage and good gun depression. That's the signature of the Swedish tanks. Decides not to shoot at those plates. Steady goes for that one. Not sure I think he did get that into the drive wheel. Oh, that was bad for the Wizzy 1115A. He shot down on top of his front plate and that was the end of him. He's popped the reload. I think he's thinking about that object 705A. Now that's a very overpowered tank. Very difficult to bring down. 705A is none too happy about facing a Kranvagn frontally because obviously so long as the Kranvagn keeps his hull below the ridgeline, you can't penetrate the turret easily. And oh, 705, you made a big error there and now he's going to make you pay for it. Well, he got 1 round in and he put the other one into the E100 and there's an enemy 907 down there who decided to fire a round up but hit the turret instead and you can see it bounce clean off. He's got the lower plate, I think, there of the enemy object, is it? No, it's, yes it is a object. And ouch, that hurt. The 152mm round did go in. Just trying to work out where it actually struck. Did it go low? Can't see exactly where it went. But the object will be setting him up for another one. Ouch, and he took it again. He's going for the lower plates. No, didn't get that. He's not alone on the hill, but he is taking a lot of damage. Trying to get this object. Yep, gets 1. It's on reload. Bounces around now. That's good. Just trying to work out where that enemy shell went. I think it must have hit the... Oh, it's hit the side of the turret. That's why. That's why he took it. Okay, our poor 60 TP and Wizzy 113 are about to... Well, they're being bullied. But the object takes 1 round. Goes for the E100. Go for the front of the turret. Oh, and there goes the E100. So both of our guys survived, but they're now only facing an E5. Unfortunately, they're both dead now. So he's waiting for his reload to complete, and then he's going to finish off this T110 E5. And he's loaded. Yeah, the E5 knows full well he's in trouble. He's trying not to give us anything, but he does take a round through the cupola. Yes, look at that, perfect. And the second shot finishes him off. So that's 3 kills now for Orange's Toxic, and he reverses away, weaving and waggling to avoid Arty. Okay, well, did get stunned by the enemy Arty, the T92 HMC, and we know that that Arty does have a rather long reload, which is normally around about the 45-second mark. So we won't have to worry about him for a while. But he's got rid of his stun, and now he's headed off to come down the hill the other side. But he doesn't want to give away his position before he does. So he's just holding for the moment. He's going to snipe through the bush. Anyone in sight? Some of these bushes are actually quite good for sniping. But there's nobody in sight. The E3's moving up north of the lake. He might be able to get a spot in for us. I think actually the bush to the left, those set of trees in grid square C5, is probably about the right place. Just where it says ready, or just below where it says ready there. We don't know where any of the enemy on that side are. There's a Foch 155, a Foch B, a Gorilla, a Jaegeru, a T110E3. Even though we know that the Foch 155 was seen down near the west side and the south end of the map, opposite the our cap area of the field, but any one of those tank destroyers could prove very, very nasty. RNG and Toxis is, yeah, He's asking if the 277 capped. My own personal choice would be to actually for him to reverse, come back down the hill on this side, and then go low underneath the overhang across to the other side, and then slip down until you get close to the wood, and that way you're almost on top of the enemy before they even know or can get a shot at you. He seems to be thinking about that. Yep, he's going to do it. Either that, or he's actually going to try a different strategy altogether. Yep, slip down here where you're unseen. They don't know you're here. They can't see you because the way the lip holds. Oh, he's going to cut right across the field to where the E3 is. Now, the enemy Arty might spot destruction going on, but oh, he's been spotted. So there must be somebody in that wood, because that's the only person, either that or near the church, who would actually have seen him. Which means now, of course, and there's the Arty response. Of course, the Arty didn't know where he was, so he just speculated and put that shot in. And we won't have to worry about him for another 45 seconds. So he is unspotted at the moment. We know that, because otherwise the T-92 would have put the round right on top of him. No, we don't know if the E3's spotted. Yes, he is. So I expect that in a few seconds, about 10 seconds or so, we're going to have an Arty round coming flying in, actually aimed at the E3. There's the Foshby. And he's starting to take fire. Well, the Arty didn't fire. And we have got a shot on the Foshby. He's dialing in. Oh, yes, lovely shot. Pixel shot, but it worked. And the Foshby turns his attention to us. And he takes a lot of damage from the E3 there. Leaves him on a one shot. Yes, it was probably him who was sitting. Oh, and the gorilla was in the wood. So there was two watching. Okay, he's completed his reload. This is very difficult to play because all of the enemy tanks are deadly. If you try to push it, you could end up getting absolutely chock filled full of lead very, very quickly. He could try to use his gun depression. If he was to slip down the side of the cliff, just here, go along the edge of the lake, he could come up on the ramp. But we don't know how many of the enemy tanks might be back at their cap area and might try to shoot him as he goes lakeside. That would be my next choice. There's only 3 minutes 30 seconds left on the clock. Something's going to have to happen. Oh, they just lost their Foch 155. The Jaegeru got him, which means the Jaegeru could start moving forwards. They're down to just 5. 4 tank destroyers and an Arty. Personally, I would say go for it. Go north of the... Yes, go round here into the dip. Drive quickly along the side of the lake. Okay, he's gonna do it. This is it. This is what I always feel is a smart move, because you can put pressure on the enemy if you get into that ramp, into the dip. Because it's very difficult to get RT rounds into that dip. and you can keep popping up to do damage to the enemy. The Jaeger has been spotted. It's a really powerful position, this one, and you can be countered if somebody's at the church, and we do know that the Foch is at the church, so he has to pay attention to that guy first. And yes, he was spotted. I think it might have been the gorilla who spotted him though. There's the Arty trying to get him but failing. There's the Foch. And there's the gorilla. So we now know where these guys are. And our teammates can now start laying into them. The gorilla's pulled back. The Foch is still there. This is the only place you can really counter the this tanks coming up here. Is either from that church or from the hill. But they can't use the hill because the Object 277 is there. And this, the gorilla takes around. Go for it again. Yes! Lovely one. So that's 4 kills now. There's only 3 enemies left, but there's only 1 minute 25 seconds, and they've got a motor. He's popped the reload. We know where the Jaeger is. He's by the church now as well. Now, will he get spotted the moment he goes around this corner? Can't leave it too late. There's coming up to a 1 minute mark. There's the T92 HMC. He can shoot him. 1. And there's the kill. Potentially he's got a high caliber out of this, but the clock's ticking down now. He must kill that Jaeger. There's still 2 enemies out there. The E3 and the Jaeger. Gets 1 in. Goes for the lower plate. And he gets it. So it's 1 enemy left, the T110E3, and he's popped his reload. And he's got enough time to get the shells loaded, but has he got enough time to find the E3 and claim the victory? This one is going right down to the wire. And there's the E3. 1, 2, and he's not going to have enough shells to kill him off. With 13 seconds, he's popped the reload already. He needs to get close to make absolutely certain. 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1. He's going to run out of time. Oh no. Right next door to the enemy with 1 shot to kill him. And the clock runs out. How much more heartbreak can you have than a game like that? Well, here's the results from the first game in the Object 252U Defender. He managed to get a first mark of excellence in that game, as well as an ace tanker, a hand of God for surviving the battle, having received damage from 4 different enemies, a bruise in the middle for getting at least 5 critical hits. He managed to get 6, and he also got a duelist for taking down 2 tanks who damaged him, and a fire for effect for doing more damage than hit points to his own vehicle. He did manage to get the high caliber in that game. Yes, it popped up that he'd actually earned 20%, and yes, it was a high caliber game. Let's have a look at team score and see how much he really did. Well, he got the highest damage with 4,760 hit points. The next high scorer being the P44 Pantera with 3,045, followed by the SU-101 on the enemy team, 3,010. When it came to kills, he actually shared the top spot with the P44 Pantera, the ISU-152, and all had 3 kills each. And when it came to base XP, he's got that one as well. Yeah, so he's got the top in all 3 columns. 1,458 base experience points, the only player to get over 1,000. 961 went to the Pantera, and 803 went to the ISU-152. He fired 14 rounds in that game, got 12 direct hits and 12 penetrations. Everywhere he put a shell that actually did hit the target, it did some damage. 4,760 hit points of damage, all of it at close range. He received 8 hits from the enemy, only 1 of which actually penetrated, and that was the one from the Lerva. 4 non-penetrations and 4 hits by way of splash damage. 800 hit points of damage blocked by armour. 3 enemy vehicles spotted, 6 enemy vehicles damaged, 3 killed, and 986 hit points of damage assistance. On a premium count, he earned 93,368 credits, and after repair, ammunition, resupply, and consumables took away 82,407 credits. He received 1,458 XP, times 2 for the first victory, 219 for this being a premium vehicle, and 328 because he actually entered the battle in a platoon right away from the start. So 4,921 experience points altogether. We should mention that he did actually enter in the battle straight away, right from the start, in platoon with, I think this is Vizu is his name, and unfortunately we didn't follow him throughout the entire battle, and he did get wiped out, but he did get some damage on the enemy. But of course RNG's Toxis was the main protagonist in this replay, and he got a very nice victory and of course the first mark. Let's have a look at the second battle. That was the real heartache, because it went down to the last second. If there'd been 1 second more in the game, I think he probably would have got the kill on that E3 and they would have won the game. But as it was, he missed out on the opportunity because he popped the reload, I think, a little too soon. And, well, unfortunately, he ended up in a draw. It was an ace tanker, though. And he also managed to get a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. He got 5 exactly. A fighter badge for getting at least 4 kills. He ended up with 5. 1 short of getting a top gun and 1/3 of the enemy team. And he also got a 5 for effect for more damage than the hit points for his own vehicle. And lastly, he did get the high caliber in that game because he did the most damage overall. Let's have a look at team score and see where he is. Well, in this one, he got 7,706 hit points of damage, and the Jaeger on his team managed 5,096. And the third highest damage went to that object on the enemy team, the Object 268, who got 4,740, and a lot of that did come from RNG's Toxis' tank, because yes, he hit him more than once. When it came to kills, he's got the highest number of those with 5. 4 kills went to the Jaeger, and the next high scorers were the T92, the T110E5, and the Bobject on the enemy team with 2 kills apiece. When it came to base XP, he's got the highest in that as well with 857. 623 went to the Object 2684, and 613 went to the Jaeger on his own team. He fired 27 rounds in that game, 25 direct hits, 20 penetrations, damage of 7,706 hit points, of which 852 were done at more than 300 meters. He received 6 hits from the enemy, 2 penetrations, 4 non-penetrations, and 2 hits by way of splash damage from the enemy Arty. He blocked damage of 1,690 hit points in total, and I think that's helped in part by the fact that one of the Bobject's shells actually was blocked, and that's 750 hit points of damage he blocked by his armor. 11 enemy vehicles were damaged, 5 were killed, 259 hit points of damage assistance. On a premium count, he earned 57,601 credits, got 4,260 for the Achievements Award for getting a Battle Hero medal in a losing or drawn game. 92,792 credits altogether, but he fired a lot of premium ammo in that game, and he needed to because he was up against tier 10 opponents, and as a consequence he actually ended up with a loss of 80,808 credits overall. 857 XP, 497 for the Achievements Award there, 1,016 for tactical training. I'm not sure what that means, but anyway, 3,047 experience points altogether. So it was a real heartbreak, but it just goes to show he was making good decisions. He didn't try to just drive straight down the hill. He would have gone straight into the arms, or rather into the shells coming up to him from a Foch B, a Foch 155, and a Grilla, as well as that T110E3 and the Jaegers. So it was a very good choice because the enemy really had the far end of that hill well covered. So not going down that hill was a good choice. I just wish he'd actually made the choice to go the up to the ramp a little quicker, because it would have given him the opportunity to harass the enemy who were waiting for him on the other side, and that could have pushed the enemy back a little quicker. But well, you learn about these things after the game, and during the game you're all under pressure, and I know from experience sometimes you don't make the right decision. you think tactically, what do I do now in order to overcome this problem? But sometimes you just don't think of the thing that you think about when you're nice and calm and you're looking at it dispassionately. But I'm sure he will remember, if you ever get stuck in that situation again, there's just you alone coming down from the hill, or potentially to come down from the hill, don't do it. Go around, catch the enemy unawares, and avoid their trap, because obviously they had a lovely load of tank destroyers able to take him out if he made the wrong decision. So, 2 great games from RNG's Toxics. Thanks very much for sending them in, and I hope you enjoyed these replays. If you did, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And thank you for watching.